Hello, my name is Trudi and I'm from Hertfordshire Family Centre Service. Now I know that the children have only just broken up from school, but we need to make the process as smooth as possible for them. So we need to start thinking about that quite early. Now children with SEND, this can be a longer process. And if you have any children with special educational needs, you've probably been in discussion with the school about forms to fill in and procedures before they start. Some local schools will have lots of paperwork for you to fill in, and they will want to know about your children's interests and their needs. I'm going to use my script today because there's so much information to tell you. Now, to create a smooth transition into school, it means professionals and parents working together as a team for what is best for the child. Schools will probably have a policy for settling in, and particularly when they're transitioning from maybe nursery or preschool into reception. Things will have changed significantly over the last year, and examples of ways of working are quite different. Check with your chosen school in advance what their policies and procedures are. They will have a website that you can look on, and they may even have a booklet for you to read through before your children finish school and start school. The policies are usually online on the websites of the schools as well, so you can have a little read through them. They're usually quite clear and easy to read. Now, however, time should be made to have meetings in advance, because anything that could interrupt a happy transition, we need to get sorted out earlier. Let the children express how they're feeling about school. Talk about it as much as you can with them. Children are not always able to recognise how they're feeling. They might not be able to tell you that they're confused, or they're worried, or they're a bit sad about leaving their old class. It may be something you do when you're playing with them, sometimes at bath time, sometimes when you're having tea. They may talk about these things, and they will ask you the same questions over and over again because they want some reassurance. Now, there are some things that you can do to prepare your child for going into school, and I'm thinking about meal times here. Now, children may need to be using a knife and fork, so it's a good time to start practicing using knife and fork and cutlery with them. Pouring water from a jug is really important too. You can do this with water play in the bath or at the sink or in the garden if the weather is nice. Play-Doh is a great way for practicing cutting and picking tiny little balls of Play-Doh that you've rolled up and moving them around. Really good for their fine motor control. Now, some children with special educational needs may have a very limited palate. If they do, make sure that your school know about this. If they're having a packed lunch, make sure that inside the box you have a little label saying, "I only eat beige foods at the moment, but we are practicing eating different foods at home. You might see some new foods in here very soon." It's important that the lunchtime supervisors know about this as well, because schools are very, very hot on making sure that children have really a good balanced diet. So check this one out. Practice opening and shutting lunch boxes. Sounds simple, doesn't it? But it can be tricky for little fingers, which is why the Play-Doh and the cutting skills will come to hand. Getting dressed. Now then, that's always a minefield, isn't it? In the mornings, getting the children dressed. So a little bit of practicing, putting on trousers, doing up zips, practicing buttons, and pulling jumpers over heads and getting arms in is always a good thing to do. You can do it with pyjamas and all their playthings closed during the summer. Talk to them about who they can ask for help. They can ask their teacher, the teaching assistant, or even the lunchtime supervisors. They need to be able to use words to say when they need help. So practice those things with them at home. Now, for children that have SEND or have limited language, it's a good idea that the words that they do know, you let the teachers and the school know. And if they're using sign, practice those important signs like help, I'm sad, I'm hungry, maybe very happy too. So practice some of those important signs with them and make sure that the school know that you use them. tidying up children and tidying up. It's something they're going to have to do when they go to school. They're going to have to do tidying up when it's time to go out to play, tidying up when it's time for lunch, and tidying up before it's time to go home. So do a little bit of practice about tidying up because they will be expected to do it in school. All their belongings need to be labelled. It's really important that they have their names on their lunch boxes, their water bottles and their clothes. And talking about clothes, new uniforms are usually quite harsh and quite stiff, and some children really don't like this. They really don't smell like home either. So if you've got a child who's sensitive to that, put the uniform through the wash a few times. So they end up a bit like this. This one is well used, but it smells like home. And make sure that any sticky labels that are going to irritate the back of the neck, you take off. There we go. So we've washed the uniform. We've got all lots of other things to do. Maybe you could start walking past the school and just talk about, oh, that's your school over there. I think you're going to be going in that gate. There's going to be lots of people when we come to school, because it will feel quite intimidating when you first go on the first day and you're all lined up and there's so many people there. They're going to be looking up at all these tall people and feeling probably a little bit nervous. So those few walks to school, walking past the school gate, may help. It's nearly there. You've got a few weeks to prep up. You could go to the library and borrow some books. We have a fantastic array in our libraries. Now, we will be posting lots of information for you to look at later. We'll have some website links, some Play-Doh recipes, and lots of other information. It's time for me to go now. Goodbye, and see you all again soon. Bye-bye.